All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We're trying something a little different today.
Yeah, this one is going to be fun, I think. At least for folks in one specific place.
Right. So, if you live in Ashley County, Arkansas, this one's especially for you. We're going to be diving deep, way deep into your local history.
Using a really cool source, too. It's called the Biographical and Historical Memoirs of Ashley County, Arkansas, published back in 1890. So we're talking over 130 years ago.
Think of it like we're opening up a time capsule, showing you Ashley County as it was way back when.
It's amazing what they captured in this book. You've got the early settlements, all the big events that shaped the natural disasters, politics, the Civil War.
And, of course, the stories of the people who lived there, the folks who built the community.
It's not just names and dates, though. It's their lives, what they did, what they believed. It's really something.
And you know us, we don't just want to read the stuff dryly.
Nope. We want to bring it to life. For you, sitting there today in Ashley County.
So get ready for some surprising stories, maybe a few laughs, and definitely a new perspective on the place you call home. All right, let's jump in.
Okay, so first things first. Where is Ashley County? What's it like?
Right, I got to set the scene. So back in 1890, Ashley County was the second county from the Mississippi River, right there on Arkansas's southern border.
Pretty important location, actually. Think about it. The Mississippi was like the super highway back then.
Exactly. Trade, travel, all happening up and down that river. Okay, so borders. To the west, you had the Wachita River, Saline River, and part of the Drew County line.
North was all Drew County, and to the east, there was Chickaw County.
And how big are we talking here?
Pretty sizable. About 39 miles east to west, 27 miles north to south. That works out to a whopping 950 square miles.
Wow. Or, if you prefer acres, 608,000 of them. And what's really interesting is how much of that land was good for farming.
Yeah, almost all of it, except for, about 35,000 acres that were in the river bottoms, along the Saline and the Wachita.
Why not farm there? Too wet.
You got it. Floods every year. Not ideal for crops, but perfect for livestock.
Oh, right. I was just thinking about that. Like free grazing land?
Exactly. They talk about canebrake pasturage for the winter, plus tons of acorns and nuts, what they called mast, and plenty of grass for the rest of the year.
So even though the bottomlands weren't good for crops, they were still valuable.
Absolutely. Oh, and they were also covered in hardwood timber. Lots of it. We're talking a 2 to 3 mile wide strip of forest.
So you've got the rivers, the bottomlands. What about the rest of the county?
Well, right through the middle, or running north to south, there's this dividing ridge. Separates the Wachita and Saline River basins in the west from Bayou Bartholomew over in the east.
Okay, I've heard of Bayou Bartholomew. It's pretty big, right?
Definitely a major feature, but we'll get to that.
All right. So back to the ridge.
Yeah, so along this ridge, you had these isolated prairies, little pockets of open land surrounded by thick forest.
Sounds kind of cool, actually. Like secret meadows.
It does, doesn't it? And the rest of the land was kind of rolling, like swells, they call
River
them.
mountains, though.
Nope, nothing dramatic. The highest points were only about 25 feet above the river bottomlands.
Yeah.
50 feet tops above the bayou bottoms.
Okay, so pretty gentle, more like hills.
Exactly. And all the little streams in the county, they started up near these prairies.
Oh, that makes sense. Rainwater running off the higher ground.
Yeah, it's all connected. Okay, now about Bayou Bartholomew.
Finally.
This is interesting. The bottomlands around the bayou didn't flood, which made them super fertile for farming.
I bet. All that rich alluvial soil, deposited by the water over time.
They actually point out that the soil here was different from the Mississippi bottoms, like a different type of alluvial soil.
Huh. I wonder what that means for the plants growing there. Different nutrients, maybe?
I don't know. That's something to think about. But here's another mystery. Where did Bayou Bartholomew come from?
What do you mean?
They speculate in the book that it might have been an old channel of the Arkansas River.
Oh, wow. So, like, the river changed course at some point.
Maybe. Or, they say, it could be a trace of where the Mississippi River used to flow.
It does have those big looping bends.
Yeah.
And all those lakes along the edges.
Yeah, those lakes were probably acting as natural reservoirs, keeping the water flow in check.
You're pretty clever, Mother Nature. So, between the rivers, the bayou, and all the streams, Ashley County had plenty of water, right?
Oh, yeah. And the book mentions another interesting feature, mounds.
Mounds, like little hills.
Yeah, they were all over the place, mostly small and irregular, but they found bigger ones down on the Bartholomew bottom.
I wonder who built those. Native Americans, maybe?
Probably, but that's another mystery for another day. We've got to move on to the climate.
Okay, tell me about the weather in 1890s Ashley County.
Well, get this. They describe it as having, like, with unlike conditions.
What does that even mean?
Basically, it was perfect for growing all sorts of stuff, like a crazy variety of crops. Like beeches, plums, apricots, nectarines, grapes.
Okay, that's quite the fruit basket. What
Yeah.
else?
Oh, and cotton, sugarcane, sweet potatoes. The list just goes on and on.
It sounds like they could grow pretty much anything there.
Yeah, and they did. Pears, strawberries, raspberries, corn, oats, sorghum, rye, even Irish potatoes. Imagine that in Arkansas.
That's incredible. You're telling me they could grow all this stuff in the same place?
That's what the book says. They weren't just bragging either. This diversity of crops meant Ashley County was pretty self-sufficient.
Makes sense. Not relying on just one crop is a good thing, especially back then.
Absolutely. And the climate was mild, never got down to 0 in the winter, and in the summer you had Gulf breezes to keep things cool.
Wow, that's perfect. No wonder they were so successful with farming.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about the trees. They had magnolia, holly, beech, arbor vitae, pine, cypress.
Hold on, slow down. That's a lot of trees.
I know, right? Gum, sycamore, basswood, oak, pecan, walnut, hickory, ash, elm. Basically everything.
Sounds like a beautiful place. All those different trees. And the flowers. You said they had lots of flowers too, right?
Oh, yeah. Tons of them. Spring and summer, the place must have been amazing. And all that timber was valuable, too.
So Ashley County was like this natural supermarket, basically. Food, wood, everything you need.
Pretty much. They were really good at raising livestock, too, and they were cranking out the cotton and corn.
It all adds up to a very prosperous place. And healthy, too. You said something about the health of women and children being good.
Yeah, they actually compared to the mountain regions. As long as you didn't live right in the bottomlands, you were probably in pretty good shape.
Makes sense. Avoid the mosquitoes and you avoid the malaria. What about that special alluvial territory along Bayou Bartholomew?
Oh, yeah. They said that was prime real estate, destined to be the most densely populated part of the county.
Because it didn't flood.
Exactly. And the soil was incredible. But, even though it was safer health-wise, early white settlers still preferred higher ground.
I guess old habits die hard. It takes a while to feel safe in a new place.
Sure. Okay, so we've got the lay of the land. Now we can start meeting the people.
Yeah, let's put some faces to these names. Who are the first folks to settle in Ashley County?
Well, according to the memoirs, the earliest pioneers showed up around Fountain Hill, around 1840, give or take.
Right, and what were their names?
We've got a William Daniels from Alabama, Elijah Kirkpatrick from North Carolina, a Mr. Sparks and a Mr. Dean, both from Georgia. Not a lot of detail on them.
Just the first folks to put down roots, huh? Any other names?
There's Nathaniel Denson, he was a preacher, and a Captain Jerton from Virginia settled over in Longview. But the real standout is William S. Willis.
Judge Willis.
That's him. First county and probate judge in Ashley County. Came from Mississippi in 1846.
I read he was a surveyor, right?
Yeah. And smart, too. They call him a man of good hard sense with remarkable natural ability and strong character.
He must have been quite a figure back then, leading the county in those early years.
Oh, definitely. Until he passed away in the mid-1850s. There's this great story about him.
Oh, I love a good story. Lay it on me.
So apparently, Judge Willis was walking along one day and came face to face with a bear.
Yikes. That's scary.
I know. And what does he do? Offers up a prayer. Probably the first and last one he ever said out loud, too, according to the book.
So, what happened? Did God save him?
Well, it's more likely that his booming voice scared the bear off. They said the bear was just as startled as if divine intervention had occurred.
I love that. So he was a big, imposing guy, huh?
Oh, yeah. 5'10", 240 pounds,
Yeah.
strong features. But the real thing about him was his sense of right and wrong.
So he wasn't swayed by fancy lawyer talk.
Not one bit. It's
Yeah.
like he knew what was fair and just, and that's all that mattered.
That's the kind of judge you want. Someone who uses common sense.
Absolutely. They even tell this story about W.M. Harrison. He was a lawyer, later became Chief Justice.
Okay, what do you do?
So Harrison is in court making this big, elaborate legal argument. And Judge Willis, he just gets up in the middle of it, walks out onto the porch, picks a mulberry off a tree, and comes back in. Like nothing happened.
Oh, wow. He sounds like my kind of guy. Straight to the point.
Totally. Okay, so another early settler worth mentioning is J.B. Savage. Came from Alabama.
What did he do?
He was elected county clerk. Twice.
Must have been a popular guy.
Yeah, seems like it. But after his second term, he moved back to Alabama. We'll never know why.
That's a shame. Anything else about those early days?
Oh, yeah. There's mention of Isern Springs. It It was about 12 miles east of Hamburg.
I've heard that name. What was it?
It was a Methodist camp meeting ground. Had a big pavilion for services every year.
Oh, cool. So even back then, religion was important to the community.
Definitely. And these gatherings were a big deal socially, too. People came from all over.
It's amazing how they built this whole community from scratch. Churches, courts, everything.
It really is. Okay, but we're just getting started.
What do you mean?
This book is full of individual stories. We're talking hundreds of people, all with unique backgrounds and experiences.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. But it's those stories that really make Ashley County's history come alive. Ready to meet some more folks?
Let's do it. Tell me about some of these interesting characters.
Okay, so remember, agriculture was king back then. So we've got lots of farmers.
Makes sense. Good land, good climate. Got to put it to use.
Right. So there's Andrew J. Allen, came from Georgia in 1860.
What's he like?
They describe him as a progressive farmer. Very intelligent, too. Built up a lot of land, and even served in the Confederate Army.
Sounds successful.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Then we have Honorable Hogan Allen, arrived in 1880, from North Carolina originally.
So he was in politics.
You got it. He was a planter, preacher, legislator, even a state senator.
Wow. Quite the multitasker.
Right. Talk about community involvement.
Local.
Oh, and then there's Christopher C. Allen,
Mm.
another Georgian, arrived in 1860.
Wait, 3 Allens? Were they related?
They don't say, but it's possible. Anyway, Christopher was a farmer, a former tax assessor, and the postmaster of Hamburg.
Busy guy. I like that he was diversifying his crops and livestock, too. Smart move.
Yeah, not putting all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Exactly. So, 3 Allens. Who else?
Okay, we've got Marquis D. Boyd from South Carolina. Arrived way back in 1840.
Wow. So he was there from the very early days.
Yep. He was a farmer and served in the Confederate Army, too.
And Willis Brooks? He actually started out in Chico County in 1840. Became a big-time agriculturist there,
Yeah.
then moved over to Ashley County.
Interesting. So there was movement between the counties.
Makes sense. People looking for better opportunities, maybe, or just following family and friends.
Could be. Okay, now get this. We've got a father and son duo.
Really? Tell me more.
The father was Wiley Kane, came all the way from Ireland in the early 1800s. And his son, Anderson, born in America, was a farmer who fought for the Confederacy.
Wow. That's multiple generations putting down roots in Ashley County.
Exactly. It really shows how these families became part of the fabric of the community.
Who else is in this family album of yours?
Well, there's R.L. Cohn
Mm-hmm.
from Alabama. He was a planter who was super active in his community. Churches, schools, you name it.
A real pillar of society.
Totally. Oh, and then there's Henry H. Crook. Arrived from South Carolina in 1846. He was a farmer, a Methodist minister, and held all sorts of local government positions, like coroner, justice of the peace, even a legislator.
Wow, talk about a busy life. It's amazing how much these early settlers were involved in building their communities.
I know, right? And we're just scratching the surface here.
Keep going, keep going. Who's next?
Okay, there's Frank K. Daniel. He was actually born in Ashley County, farmer and a justice of the peace. Served in the Confederate Army, too.
A true Ashley County native. And Rufus L. Denson, also born in Ashley County in 1846, was a farmer and a missionary Baptist.
So we're starting to see those second-generation Ashley County residents.
I love that. It's like watching the county grow up right before our eyes. All right, give me more names.
All right, we've got R.C. Dew, came from Mississippi around 1860, a farmer and a Baptist.
Okay.
And William Dew, born in Missouri, but he got to Ashley County after the Civil War. He was a farmer, a constable, and active in the agricultural wheel. Agricultural wheel, what's that?
It was an organization for farmers, kind of like a union, I guess. We're going to be seeing more those kinds of groups popping up.
Interesting. So farmers were starting to organize and advocate for their interests.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. They were the backbone of the county.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. We've got John C. Downey from Alabama, arrived in 1850.
Okay, what about him?
He was a farmer, served in the Confederate Army, and later became a county and probate judge.
Wow. So he dedicated his life to Ashley County.
Seems like it. All right, next up is Eli Evans. He was born in Maryland and came to Arkansas during the Civil War, became a farmer and county treasurer.
Sounds like a lot of these folks came to Arkansas looking for a fresh start.
Yeah, maybe escaping the war or just looking for new opportunities.
All right, who else you got?
Okay, John B. Franklin from Mississippi came in 1850. He was a farmer and a deacon in the Missionary Baptist Church.
Oh, so another devout man of faith. Seems like religion was really important to a lot of these early settlers. Definitely. It provided comfort, community, and a sense of purpose.
All right. Who's next on our list of notable Ashley County residents?
Okay, we've got Joseph P.G.
Yeah.
He was actually born in Arkansas, over in Lowndes County. Farmer and a stockman. Also served in the Confederacy.
Another veteran. And then we have Robert J. George, originally from Louisiana, arrived in 1860.
Oh, he was interesting. A farmer and a dentist. Plus, he served in the Confederate Army.
A dentist. Wow, so we're starting to see more specialized professions popping up in Ashley County.
Yep. The community was growing and becoming more complex.
Makes sense. All right, what about Joseph W. Gilliam?
He was from Mississippi, came after the Civil War, farmer, teacher, and a magistrate. And, of course, a Confederate veteran, too.
So he wore many hats.
Yep.
Teacher, law enforcement, you name it.
Yeah. They really relied on each other back then. Everyone had to pitch in.
A true sense of community. Okay, who's next?
All right, we've got John W. Harris, arrived from Tennessee in 1845, a farmer and a Methodist. And Jason C. Hill from Alabama came in 1874. He was a planter and ran a gin and a grist mill.
Oh, wow. That's essential stuff for an agricultural community, processing the cotton and the grain.
Exactly. Those mills were like the heart of the local economy.
Okay, keep going. I'm hooked on these stories.
Okay, we've got J.R. Hill, also from Alabama, came in 1868, just a farmer.
Don't leave me hanging.
And John D. Holloway, born in Ashley County, was a farmer involved in fraternal organizations.
Another native son. What about H.M. Johnson?
He came from Mississippi after the Civil War, a farmer and a Confederate veteran.
Another vet. And William J. Ladd.
He was born in Kentucky, arrived in 1868, was a planter and merchant, active in a bunch of organizations.
Planter and merchant. Interesting combo.
Yeah, maybe he was selling what he grew. Who knows? Okay, get this. Peter Lawson, all the way from Scotland, arrived around 1855.
Scotland. Wow, that's a long way from Arkansas. What brought him all the way over here?
Probably the same thing that brought everyone else. Opportunity. He was a lawyer and judge, by the way, and a member of a ton of fraternal orders.
A well-connected guy. Okay, what about William F. McCombs?
He was from Kentucky, arrived in 1868, and he was a merchant.
Another merchant. It sounds like Ashley County was starting to get pretty bustling by that point.
Definitely. And then we have Jacob McDougald from Alabama. Came early on, was a farmer and Confederate veteran, a member of the Missionary Baptist Church and the Farmers Alliance.
Farmers Alliance.
Yeah, but another one of those farmers organizations we were talking about. It seems like they were gaining momentum.
Okay, so lots of farmers, some merchants, a judge. Who else?
J.B. McDuffie from Georgia arrived in 1842. Farmer and a Baptist. Ben F. Moore from North Carolina came after the Civil War.
Okay.
He was a physician and a planter. Oh, and he served in the Confederacy, too.
Wow, a doctor, farmer, soldier. What a life. It seems like almost everyone served in the Confederacy.
Yeah, the Civil War really touched everyone's life back then. It's a constant presence in these stories.
Okay, who's next?
James M. Nutt and W. M. Nutt both arrived in 1851, both farmers. James M. served in the Confederacy.
Another set of brothers.
Maybe. They don't say for sure.
Okay, and F.C. Parker.
He was from Georgia, arrived in 1853, a farmer and a Baptist.
Got it.
And John D. Pugh from Mississippi arrived in 1850. He was a merchant and a Confederate veteran.
Okay.
John C. Pyron from North Carolina came in 1859. He was a farmer, and get this, a tanner for the Confederacy.
A tanner, like making leather?
Yep. So they were producing supplies for the war effort right there in Ashley County.
It's amazing how the war touched every aspect of life. Okay, who else?
All right, we've got John T. Ramsor, also from North Carolina. He was a planter and a tanner.
Another tanner, so maybe there's a whole leather industry going on there.
Could be. And George H. Richardson, he was born in Drew County, merchant, postmaster, dealt in cotton and produce, and active in all sorts of organizations, of course.
Of course. Busy guy. Okay, what about John M. Scherer?
He was from Georgia, arrived in 1859, physician and farmer, served in the Confederacy.
Okay.
And John W. Simpson from Alabama came in 1858,
Right.
another physician farmer and another Confederate veteran.
It's amazing how many of these folks had multiple jobs or skills.
Yeah, they had to be resourceful back then.
Okay.
A few more. Samuel R. Smith, born in Ashley County, was a farmer, stock raiser, and a justice of the peace. Robert F. Tucker from Kentucky arrived in 1850, was a planter, had a drug business at one point, served in the Confederacy.
Whoa, hold on. A planter, a businessman, and a soldier. That's impressive.
Right. Talk about a diverse resume.
Okay.
Okay, two more. James W. Wheeler, born in Ashley County, was a farmer, merchant, and a raftsman. Also served in the Confederacy.
A raftsman. So he was working on the rivers, too.
Yep. Transporting goods, probably timber. It was a dangerous job, but someone had to do it.
Absolutely. And our last Ashley County resident.
Edward F. Woolard from North Carolina Arrived in 1867. He was a planter, photographer, and a lawyer. And, you guessed it, active in a bunch of organizations.
Wow, another multi-talented guy. Planter, photographer, and a lawyer. That's amazing. And, last but not least...
William T. Wooldridge from Georgia.
Hmm.
A lawyer.
All right, so that's just a small sample of the folks who lived in Ashley County back then. I'm exhausted just hearing about all their accomplishments.
I know, right? But it really gives you a sense of the people who built this county. All their hard work, their dedication to their community, their faith.
Yeah, it's inspiring. And it wasn't just farming. We talked about merchants, doctors, dentists, lawyers, teachers, even a photographer, and all those mills.
Right. Ashley County was becoming a more diverse and sophisticated place.
And speaking of diversity, we can't forget about the Civil War. It seems like almost every man we mentioned served in the Confederate Army.
Yeah, the war was a huge part of their lives. And the book mentions specific regiments, battles, campaigns.
Like what?
Well, we've got the 3rd Arkansas, the 2nd Arkansas Cavalry, the 12th Georgia, the 9th Arkansas, 1st Trans-Mississippi.
Wow, they really saw it all, didn't they?
Yeah, they fought at Antietam, Port Hudson, Chickamauga, Vicksburg, Shiloh, Gettysburg, the Wilderness, Corinth, Marks Mill, Jenkins Ferry. It's a long list.
Wow, those are some of the biggest battles of the war.
And it wasn't just the big battles either. They were involved in smaller campaigns too, like Price's Raid and Fagan's Brigade.
It's amazing how they kept going even after the war ended, rebuilding their lives, their communities.
It speaks to their resilience. And their faith played a big role too.
Right. We saw how many of them were active in their churches: Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, Christian.
It was a source of strength and community. And then there were all those fraternal organizations.
The Masons, the Oddfellows.
Yeah. And the Knights of Honor, Knights of Pythias, all those groups provided a sense of belonging, support.
A safety net, too, probably.
Definitely. And then we saw the rise of farmers' organizations, the Agricultural Wheel, the Farmers Alliance.
It's like after the war, people realized they had to work together to rebuild.
Exactly. And that meant organizing, advocating for their interests.
It's fascinating how much Ashley County changed in just a few decades, from a frontier settlement to a thriving community.
And it all started with those brave pioneers who came from all over.
Right. We saw folks from Alabama, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, even Maryland.
And don't forget those who came from even further away. Scotland, Ireland, England, Wales.
Wow, a real melting pot.
All drawn to Ashley County for the same reason. Opportunity, the chance to build a new life.
It's amazing, isn't it? All these individual stories all coming together to create the Ashley County we know today.
It really makes you think about your own connection to this place.
Absolutely. So, for all you listeners out there in Ashley County, what should you take away from all this?
Well, first of all, be proud. Your ancestors were tough, resourceful, and dedicated to building a better life for themselves and their families.
And they were diverse. Ashley County wasn't just built by one type of person. It was a mix of cultures, backgrounds, skills.
Yeah. And they worked hard, farmed the land, built businesses, served their communities. They faced challenges, but they never gave up.
And they left behind a legacy that you can still see today.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So next time you're out and about in Ashley County, take a moment to think about those who came before you.
Yeah. Picture them walking those same streets, working that same land. Imagine their hopes and dreams for the future.
It's all still there, woven into the fabric of this place. And it's your story now. So what are you going to do with it?
That's a great question to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Ashley County's history.
And remember, this is just a glimpse. There's so much more to discover.
So get out there, explore, and keep asking questions. You might be surprised by what you find.
You never know. You might even uncover a story or two about your own family history.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, keep diving.
Keep learning.